Morning. Well, gonna have a couple days of cooler weather. It's not gonna be in the 90s, so I like that. Today's plan is I'm gonna take the 37 out. Since I built the engine, it's a 383 stroker. Got a skip white bottom end. Got Brodix aluminum heads. Got a 750 Holly on it. It runs real good. Sounds real good. But what it'll do, if you let it sit and idle for any amount of time when it's nice and warm, when you shut it off, it'll diesel. And that's really not good for high performance engine. It's got forged pistons. So my next step is I'm going to go down one heat range in spark plugs. See if that helps. If that takes care of the issue, awesome. If it doesn't, then I'm going to pull the carburetor and drill holes in the primary butterflies, get a little bit more oxygen, so it runs a little leaner at an idle. I think it's probably running too rich at an idle now. I'll probably end up having to do both, the plugs and the butterflies, but we'll see how it goes. I haven't driven this a whole lot this year. You can tell from the cat prints on the air cleaner. Ugh. We'll check it, make sure all the fluids are where they're supposed to be. That's never been a problem. Oh, look at there, a down a quart. That's interesting. Transmission fluid done pretty pink. One mistake I made when I put this together, I had to put a 700 R4 in it. Now originally that was just going to be temporary. I had another motor, 350, that I was going to run before I put a new motor in it. So I was going to run pretty much a stock 350 behind a 700 R4 would have been fine. Because the 700 R4 is just a pretty much stock build. But the 350 went TU. So I went ahead and put a bigger motor in it. So I'm left with the other transmission, which it's on the books to pull that 700 R4 out, and I got a 400 I'm going to put in it. But I got to rebuild that first. I got a whole bunch of transmissions to do. So I'm going to fire this up. And we're going to take it down. Oh, I got to put a quart of oil on it first. Let me find some oil. I've been using this Driven motor oil. Good stuff. me or not, but it's running. Running all right. Still feel a little bit of surging going on. Not happy with the 700 R4. I don't like the way it shifts. Can you feel that surge? So I got to put shocks in this thing. So I picked up some folding plugs. That's supposed to help with the detonation. We'll find out. While I was at the parts store, I went ahead and put a can of octane boost in it. Some of this gas is pretty old. See if that helps any when I get home and try to shut it off. Beautiful day here in North Idaho. Definitely needs shocks. It kind of wanders a little bit. Not too terrible, but yeah, I don't think I'm happy with this carburetor. It's a quick fuel. It's a cheap one. I thought it would be fine. Apparently not. When I was in town, I ran into another guy. He's got a 38 panel GMC. He says, you just don't see him. I went by, I guess he was at McDonald's. He says, well, I heard you coming. Thought it was a big block. It already shipped in a second. Boy, it's slush-o-matic. I've got a shift kit for it. I guess I'll go ahead and put it in. It shifts crappy. Really sluggish. I mean, it shifts, but kind of when it wants to. I don't like it at all. Not happy with it. Still rides like an old truck, though. Kind of bulky. Okay, doing some research on this 700R4 linkage. It says if you want it to, if it's shifting too early, to tighten the cable, which is what it's doing. It's shifting way too early, which is not good. So I need it to shift later, which will make it shift harder. So this is the cable right here. This one here. I've got to make it shift. I've got to make this housing go back farther, back that way farther. It kind of looks like it's all the way back now. But what I did notice is this bracket. When I started messing with it, this bracket went like this. It will do that far. So that actually moves it back some, how much? Oh, maybe a 1/4 inch. So I think I'll just figure out some way to stabilize that bracket. It only indexes in that little pin there, and it's sloppy, so it moves. So let's see if I can throw a little spacer in there and tighten that nut up, keep that bracket from rolling around. Let's do that first. It's too hot to get those plugs out to change them. Okay, so this bracket here, there we go. Okay, here's the bracket. I was able to take that little bracket there, and I just bent it like that. Come on, there we go. And that stops it from moving. That should do it. Okay, so just stabilizing that bracket brought it back quite a bit. I'll take it out tonight and see how if that helps any. But now that bracket's nice and stable, doesn't move. That was easy. Okay, next day, after changing that bracket for the shift cable, it shifts much better. Totally different transmission. That was huge. And I only pulled the cable maybe a 1/4 inch. Made it tighter. Big difference. Now it shifts like it's supposed to. Really well. I'm still going to put the shift kit in it to make the shifts a little crisper. But I was really impressed. It made a big difference. Problem is, when I pushed that bracket out, it pulled on the throttle linkage. Now the throttle's not letting the carb relax, so I got to play with that and get that fixed. But big difference, big improvement. That stupid TV cable is really important to have it adjusted correctly. I knew that. I thought I did, but I didn't. So I changed the spark plugs, went down, got some other plugs, and knowing myself, I looked, because either heads are made by Brodix, and they suggest Champion plug, I forget the number, and the ones I had in there were different. I thought, okay, that's interesting. So I went down to the parts house and had them cross-reference them. So those are completely the wrong plugs. They're not even close. So somehow I had the wrong spark plugs in it. I don't know. Might be my dyslexia kicking in again. So I put in the recommended plugs, and now it seems to be running fine. It's not dieseling. So I think it's just my own incompetence or stupidity or whatever you want to call it. But I think that cured the dieseling. Seems to be running really well. I got the throttle readjusted so it's not sticking anymore. Seems to be running pretty darn good now. So I'm going to call that a video. I appreciate everybody watching. Thanks a lot. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Take care.